Welcome to another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast.
Hey all, welcome to yet another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. Today we have living legend Sebastian. Do I say Rutten? I've heard people say Rutten. How do you pronounce your last name, Bas?
Rutten, yeah. Rutten. Yeah, or rotten to the core, rootin' to the core.
Rootin' to the core, like rooting around in the garden.
Yeah, rootin' tootin'. Can do a lot of stuff.
This morning you just told me that you are starting your day with 2+ pounds of sweet potatoes. What the hell?
I know, if something works for me, like my breakfast for when I was fighting was always the same, 6 slices of bread with like marmalade jelly, because apparently the peel from the jelly from the skin doesn't let you build up lactic acid. I found that out and I just kept eating it. I did it for years. People go, "You're crazy." I'm really good when creating a habit, and if it's good for me, I just stick with the habit. And so I've been doing this for many
years. You had six slices of bread?
Oh yeah, I can eat a lot. I eat eight slices before I go to bed. So I don't wake up at night and I eat whole wheat.
So just go to the grocery store, you buy like a loaf of whole wheat bread off the shelf?
Off a shelf, and I just make it at home, whatever I got, and then I eat before I go to sleep, because this way I stay asleep. So people always tell me, "It's got to watch out, it's turning into insulin, it's all the stuff," but it seems to work for me, so I'm feeling good.
So before a fight, just so I understand, you'd be getting prepped, you'd take 6 pieces of bread, slather them with marmalade, and eat that. That was your pre-fight?
Yeah, that will be in the morning, but then the pre-fight, what I do is before, most of the time I'd eat something very clean. So it's either like rice noodles or oatmeal or something. I might eat 2 cups of oatmeal, and I do it like 4 hours before the fight. And then only with water, no salt, no nothing. Maybe a little bit of salt if I want to have some electrolytes. But that's it. And then 4 hours, nothing. So it's completely digested and the body works 100%.
So you kind of work the opposite of a lot of people now that are on the diet plan of intermittent fasting and little quantities of food. You sound like you're just shoveling food in your mouth. 2 pounds of potatoes, lot. 6 pieces of bread.
And that's just, yeah. And when I eat, I can eat a lot also. So, but I eat only 3 times a day. I try. I don't eat a lot of things in between, like no sweets, no that. It's never been my thing. I had coffee in the morning. That's about it. Oh, I start with EAAs. I get the essential amino acids. I make a big shake with electrolytes of that. That's the first thing I drink, but it's almost like a liter I do. So I got a lot of fluids in me, and that's when I rest a little bit, take a coffee, and then I start going over my routine, and then the potatoes get boiled, and it's all coming together.
So your day is like you're like a farmer. You're all about feeding.
And this is the thing with me. Whatever I put in my body, I don't care. I care about the taste if I go out to eat with the family, with the missus. But otherwise, for me, it's what works. So before, when I was still a heavy drinker, it didn't really matter what kind of alcohol, as long as alcohol gets you. I always take coffee. I drink coffee. I drink for the caffeine. Food, I eat food for the nutrition value. But like I said, that's in the morning and during the day. Then in the evening, I try to lighten up, because I would like to have a steak with something nice. But still, I try to eat clean.
No more alcohol for you?
I do, but no more drunk of me. That's been a long time that I've been drunk. I don't like the feeling anymore being, unstable. I don't.
It's not a good feeling.
It's not a good feeling. You never know what happens. It's always, especially in the, if you always want to be ready for whatever life throws at you. Well, I can't be ready if you have 4 glasses of beer. If the dangerous situation presents itself, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make horrible mistakes, maybe pick a wrong person, whatever it is. It's not good. And you're not going to forgive yourself if it happens for the rest of your life.
Sure. I was doing a little research on you. I didn't realize that you were a model before you were a fighter.
A chef.
You were a chef too?
Yeah. What did you say first?
I said a model.
Oh yeah, that's how crazy is that?
There's pictures of you with hair.
Oh yeah.
and I think that you caption them like me looking at nothing, me staring off at nothing as you're posing. Talk about your modeling career.
You know what? For me, it was it was the perfect moment when I got in there. It's almost like mixed martial arts, although mixed martial arts, I was very old already, I was 28. But what happened was this. They decided when I was around 21, there was for guys, they always use a little bit feminine guys, you know, and a lot of gay people would be a model. That was simply how it was at that time. It's not my rule, that was it. But they decided, there was this era when I was 21, so whatever year it is, it's 81, I guess then, or no, 86. It's where they decided they wanted to have more manly looking guys coming up. That's what they told me. So I went to this agency, and it was run by 3 women, and they freaking loved me. And that was it. I was working 3 days a week. I was making, what was it? 1,800 guilders a day. This is all the way back. So for me, that was really good money. Half a day was, I don't know, 850 or something, or 900. But I mean, I was working pretty good. And I was Masita, those pictures that you saw, that was a brand, and they had me for years to show their stuff. And it was just a very easy profession, you know. It's kind of fun and doing it. But then, you know, once I started showing up at shiners, they didn't really like that, you know, because they come up with a black eye. They tend not to book you anymore, ask for you. So that's how I kind of lost my job. Yeah.
So you were also a chef? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went 4 years to culinary school.
Really?
Yeah. So crazy,
and
right?
Now you're eating bread and smashed sweet potatoes.
That's what I'm doing, because I know, you know, all the buttery sauces, the French cuisine that I was doing. So all the sauce and the mash and everything you make is a lot of butter, you know, it's not really super healthy. It's good, but it's not super healthy. So I stay away from that.
Did you work professionally as a chef, or did you just go to school and then not end up chasing that profession?
No. I worked as a chef. This was one of those schools that you go daily to school for 2 years. And then the last 2 years, you go 2 days a week, and the rest you work. And those are schools of restaurants that only are appointed by that school. So they have to have a certain standard. It was the French cuisine, the French kitchen. And then they had to be at a certain level in order to have those students. And then you went over there, you were the sous chef. Well, you started lower even than the sous chef.
Sure. Do you still run the kitchen at home? You still in there slicing and dicing?
I do. I love it. This morning I was chopping up the potatoes. I go, I'm still going fast. And but my wife is a really good cook as well. So, but she doesn't know what she's doing. She just throws things together, and it's like every time I go, like, "What did you do? Hey, did you write it down?" No, I didn't write it down. I go, "Hi."
So she knows what she's doing. She just doesn't do it like you would do it.
Yeah, I do everything. I measure everything. I have a plan, a situation. You know, as we are in the OODA loop, for instance. You see, that's what with me, it comes back in everything. I like to be prepared for everything.
That's funny. I actually wanted to be a chef at one point in my life. I went to the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, and did like a walkthrough up there. And I don't know what the person's job title was, but they were showing all the prospective students what the curriculum was like. And the guy said to me, "So you want to go to work when everybody else is out having fun, huh?" And I thought about that. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. So I did not pursue that. No, thank you.
I hope that if that was a planned question, it was a very smart question from him.
Yeah, right? Maybe we were kind of talking about that, I think, is what led to that. But maybe they weeded out some people that weren't into that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know?
It makes total sense.
So at what point did you start training martial arts? You just probably not a lot of time for that when you're going to school, working at a kitchen at night.
Yeah. So, I started martial. So I was bullied. I had a horrible skin disease, right? So I was the leper in school. That's what they called me. I had severe asthma attacks as well. Every 5 weeks, week in bed, not able to eat. So I was the kid that was always casted out. I spent my time in the forest. I was in the forest 3-4 hours a day, swinging treetop to treetop. That was my thing.
Go back for a second. So you're Dutch, right?
Yep.
You just said you didn't have leprosy, but you had a skin issue you were born with?
Yeah, eczema. But they call me the leper. I was the Melaatse. It's what they say in Holland, which means leper. So
kids were horrible to you, is what you're saying.
Yeah. That was all day long. It was bullied all day long. So I was.
So you would disappear out into the forest and just be by yourself?
That's it. I was climbing buildings, climbing high things. I always had an obsession with heights, with climbing, and I was really good. We had a forest in front of our home. There was a field and there was a forest, and to going to the forest, there were like 12 trees or something that ended up with a stable. There was a horse in there, but I could swing already from every tree to the stable. On top, that had to jump off, walk like 50 yards, and then once I got into a tree, I could pretty much go throughout the whole forest. Well, there were like 4 or 5 spots where the leaps were too big, but I would swing tree top to tree top, which would come in handy for bullies as well, because they would chase me, and I would just wait till they're almost with me, and I started swinging, go to the other next tree, and they didn't have the cojones to do that. And one guy actually did one time, and he fell, and dude, he almost died. It was like, from that moment on,
He climbed up the tree?
He climbed up the tree, you know, he made all the mistakes that you shouldn't be making. You should understand when you swing a tree, where to stand and where not to stand. So the tree broke, and he went down, and he fell hard, but his head was next to a big freaking rock. It was just missed it, and that everybody saw that picture in their minds, and I never got a problem anymore. Some of them started shooting me with BB guns. They tried to shoot me. I mean, horrible kids. What can we do?
What the hell, man? Kids can be pretty rotten and unforgiving for sure. Did your parents intervene in any of that?
No, I never told my mom and dad. It's you know, that's why this whole. But I explained to how I got into martial arts. I will also that. My mom had an enormous amount of work with me. Like, we had the whole family sending in all bed sheets that they would rip up to bandages, and then she would mummify me. That's what the name was, every night. Because of the eczema, they had the cortisone creams on it, mummify me. In the middle of the night, I was scratching up, it was itching. I had like a big tile next to me. I would constantly hit the tile, you know, because you start liking pain over itching. Itching is the worst thing that there is, you know, constantly. And then she had to redo the whole thing again. So wow. I never told her I was bullied, because I figured that she's going to be even more, she's not going to feel so great if that happens.
Clearly you got the skin condition under control. Yeah.
Well, what happened was this. So we went to a movie theater in France. We were on a vacation, and it was Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. My brother and I found a way. I was 12. I was 12. I found a way to slip in there because it was 17 years and older. And then I saw Bruce Lee. So that was it. I bought nunchucks. I wanted to become Bruce Lee. But my mom and dad, needless to say, they thought it was violence. They hold me back 2 years. Took me 2 years to convince them. Then finally, I got taken under the wing by the boyfriend of a neighbor girl. She was a very beautiful girl. She was dating the coolest guy in our town. And he took me under his wing, and I was training with the adults, Taekwondo. And within months, I started beating some of these adults, you know, and then I overheard these guys talking about me in the dressing room. You know, did you see that kid, Bas? Oh, he dropped so-and-so. Oh, people laughing. Man, that kid has a lot of talent. So, you know, I started listening, of course, to the adults instead of the kids. And I started getting more confident, got into a fight with the biggest bully in my school. On the street, they surrounded me because they flipped me off or something. They again, hey, leper, whatever. And I shouted something back this time. And they started to chase me. And I told myself, it's it. I'm not going to do it anymore. So I put my bicycle on the stand. And I just waited for them, and they just surrounded me with the bicycles. And then what's his name? Shaki, the main guy, came to me, and he wanted to fight and told me that I had to hit him. So I did, and I knocked him out with one punch. And that was it. The whole new world opened. It was the wildest thing ever. So, and then I became the bully protector. The meaning, or the bully hitter, not the bully protector, but every person in school
who got bullied, people from the punks.
Everybody. Oh, you have a problem with who? Him? Okay, I got it. You know, so I started going after everybody. I made a list, you know, with all the guys who bullied me in the past, and I checked every single name off. You know, I went after these guys and some of them was really sad because they literally would say, listen, I don't even remember what I said. I go, I do. Bonk. And then I would knock them out. It's one of those things that I always tell people, you know, what you see in schools now, kids get bullied and then they come with weapons or whatever, and horrible. You can't have that. But I completely understand it. I was in a bad situation one time when I thought I was like Tarzan. The kids were bullying me on the street, on school, and said certain things. And there were trees there, and I grabbed a branch, and I think I saw a Tarzan movie, and I want to swing against his chest like you see in the movies. But the branch broke. I fell on the ground, and everybody's laughing and pointing at me. And I ran home. Yeah, it was horrible. But it was after these years of bullying, that was the drop, that made the buckets flow. That's the saying that we have in Holland.
Sure.
And I ran home, which was only like 200 yards from away from the school. And I grabbed a kitchen knife, a steak knife, and I went back. And my mom, thankfully,
pretty serious stuff here.
She saw me run on the street and she started to chase me and she got me in time. Until this day, I don't know. I hope that I wouldn't have, that it was just threatening, but I was livid, man. I was like ready to freaking stab everybody. I was so insanely mad. So, be careful.
Put somebody to a point where, like you said, that I've got a friend that uses that term, the drop that overflows the bucket. You push somebody to that point and then open up that box and who knows what'll happen. It's crazy. It's definitely seems to have gone overboard now, bullying, meaning what I mean by that is now you even like disagree with somebody, and folks in school settings or work settings call you a bully. If you just disagree with somebody, you're a bully, you're bullying me, stop bullying me. You can't even.
It's because nobody has any balls anymore. It's completely gone. Everything's done through the phone. Everything is like conversation, started dating, fighting is on the phone. These people, when they see, I always tell this, I had this kid, 23-year-old, who was angry at me for something. It's a long explanation. We don't have to go in there, but he was literally screaming at me. But while he was screaming, he did not look me in the eyes. And those are the guys who are on the online. They have no voice. And online, they're spitting on all their hate on everybody. But in person, they have no clue how to behave or what to do anymore. It's
Did he know you? Was it
he
somebody?
knew.
So yeah. He knew you could probably beat his ass. But was still engaging in the verbal altercation.
Yeah, because he never had somebody who set him straight. And it started escalating. And a long time ago, I was a different guy. I would have slapped him at least in the face. And I told him this also. I said, listen, this is all good for me. There's nothing that will come for me. But I have students who are 17 years old, who look like a little sheep. They will beat the crap out of you. You talk to them like that. You cannot tell that there are any fighters. But boy, they're going to tear you up. So I would really be careful with what you're doing. And this is the kid, and with his father, he was always in trouble. Like, oh, he's come there, but it was not his fault. He was on the plane, and this woman said something. He was behind the desk at the hotel, and every single time. And I look at them, I go, like, dude, if it's all the time, it's you. It's not the other people, because I travel like a maniac. I never have those problems on the plane. I see the stewards walking around and people taking and screaming at them. If she's a little angry to me, I'll never react on that, because it's a horrible life. They have to serve people that are just douchebags, So I just even don't go into a conversation with them. Why would you? But they do constantly, with everybody. And even his father said the next day, he says, boss, he's doing it to everybody all day long, even to me. And I go, you should watch out, man, because there's some people, long time ago, I would have knocked them out. I got to be truthful.
Sure.
There's a lot of people like me, who are like me, like I was.
What made you change?
A lot. Just first of all, is bad people. I never fought a fight, but also I went about 10 years ago. I got back to the faith. It's a whole big story. I got attacked physically by a spirit. I saw what it's like. The things that happened in our home were just bizarre. And I got back into the faith, and then I started realizing, we were learning about it, not just screaming, but I always used to do, pedophile priest and all that stuff, because once you break it down, it's the dumbest thing there is, you don't.
Time out. Did you just say pedophile priest?
Yeah, because, if you say to the Catholic faith, that's the first thing that people throw at your head.
I see. Gotcha.
It's like, you're a cop, you're a racist, right? You're a Muslim, you're a terrorist. So people are just insane, because it's a very tiny, small percentage, which is completely wrong. Even 1.9% is 1.9% too much. But once you break it down, you say, listen, I just like to live like they told us to live, like a good person. That's the only thing.
You're saying don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, is I think what you're saying.
That's 100%, but it's what we all do. And all these people that you're just talking about, it's all the minorities that a little minority from a big group does something, and then they're all bad. And it happens with everything. You're blonde, you're stupid. You can go on and on and on, unless
Sure.
Of course something happens in their own family. If one of Uncle Charlie is a pedophile, then that doesn't make the whole family bad. It's only him. But they will yell at people, oh, they're all bad. If you see, so people are just insane, and it gets even worse with all the internet and the the crazy algorithms that we have. I'm reading this book right now, Stolen Focus, from Johan Hari. And
I've recommended that book to a lot of people. That's a good book.
Unreal, right? And then if you find out that if you put hateful comments in your subject line, you get double the amount of shares and double the amount of responses on Facebook and on Twitter. It's 20%. You go like, they tailor make everything for, and we're all sheep. We're just following it and we're falling for it. How many likes do we have? And notifications popping off all day long. Everything is off with me. I got my notifications from Holland since my family lives there. My mom is still alive, so if something happens, but that's about it. There's nothing else popping up on my phone. I'll take my time when I come back at you. It drives me insane otherwise.
I have not had a ringer on my phone in maybe a decade, unless it was like, kids are having an issue or something like that, and I knew somebody was trying to get a hold of me, something out of the ordinary. But yeah, I don't have any of the social media apps, none of those things. I have no alerts for email. My phone would go off like yours every 10 seconds. So you just would be so distracted, you would never get anything done. Yeah.
That's what they said. If you're glued into a focus and you get distracted by just a ping or a check on your phone, it takes 23 minutes on average to get back in that same focus. So you're wasting so much time. And then once you start reading and everything changes, I was like, why can't I memorize anymore? I'm trying to memorize. And then I realized, no, that book, just stop everything.
You're spread too thin. Yeah.
That's it. And
not enough bandwidth.
Just start reading. That's it. And preferably not on the phone.
Paper. Yeah. I still buy books.
Yep.
So you're a reader. If you read that book, what other types of books have you recently read?
What did I recently read? I got Dominion. That's a book from Father Ripker. He's an exorcist. We're reading into that. That's freaking crazy stories when you hear that. And all these exorcists are having the same things. Like when you walk in, he had it only twice that the person was floating against the ceiling, and then people go like, "Well, what?" I go, "Dude, I heard some stories from people with their wives being there." You go like, "Okay, this is real." Yeah. Oh, that's normal actually. Like when I asked about the faces, the changing in the faces, he says, "Yeah, that's 90% of the time." I go, "Whoa, what?" And then you have a 12-year-old kid who starts speaking fluent Aramaic, a language hasn't been spoken for 1,500 years. You tend to start listening and believing like, okay, this is not the life we're in. Something is coming, and better be ready for it. So let's become a better person. That's what I'm trying to do.
You're trying to become a better person.
Yeah, I was never a bad person, but there's a lot of things that it's like a little aggravation things, I say. For instance, you hold the door open for somebody, it doesn't thank you, you get offended. That's pride. That should not even be coming up in your mind. You let a guy in traffic and he doesn't thank you, or you give somebody a coffee, he doesn't thank you. And every time it hurts you. Oh my God. Well, if you do it for a thank you, well, you're kind of not doing it out of love, right? So sure. All these little things to me started stacking up. I go like, yeah, that's annoying. Or like a person, I used to be this douche. Can you imagine, and I'm talking about this in my talks. I do these talks that speaking of, they say, "Hey, how are you doing?" I'm very nice to a person. If they don't say anything back, I say, "Oh, I'm good, thank you." Why would I do that? You see what I mean? And but sure. Many of us do that. And it's such a stupid thing to do. You don't know this person. Might have had really bad news this morning. Might be very introvert. Maybe he's very afraid to get out of the house. There's 100 reasons that they can, 1,000 reasons. They cannot answer you, but no, it's against me. You gotta say something back. You see, and that's pride. And it's not a big part of pride, but it's still pride. And once you start discovering all these little pride things in life, I want to clean that up. I don't want to be that person.
What are the talks you give?
I talk about what it is to be a real man, which is something that I was the opposite of. We believe here that a tough guy can beat people up. That's a tough guy. Or a tough guy is using a lot of profanity. He says whatever he says want to say to people and to talk down to the women in public. And just guys who are never wrong, or, even when they're wrong. The guys like that, but they're not. They're the opposite of being a tough guy because they can't control their emotions. They can't control everything. Like if you drink all day long, well, you're a slave to drinking. You're a slave to alcohol. Sure. You're not a tough guy. Tough guy can say no after 2 beers. You see, and that's the same with drugs, and the same with profanity, with sex, with porno, anything.
Sure.
if whatever overcomes a
agree.
man, that's what they say, to that he is enslaved. So, and when I start realizing that, I go, wait a minute, I was drinking a lot. I stopped that. I was doing drugs. I stopped that. All these things, I started to clean up and just become a better guy. Just having everything under control. What a man that would be. Can you imagine? You can control all your weaknesses and vices and imperfections. You're not a slave to your passions and desires, but you're a man who's in control of himself. Man, I wish somebody would have told me that 40 years ago, when
Christ talked about that. The Stoics talked about it.
Yeah, but you see, but I never listened. I was the crazy kid,
Sure.
the ADD flying all over the place.
I didn't listen either. I didn't listen either. Yeah, for
Thanks
sure.
when you found out now, but you see it, but it's a lot of work.
Where do you give these talks?
I was just in Wichita, Kansas for 800 guys doing this talk. And it was awesome because I do a lot of humor in there as well, of course. I mess around, I set some scenes up and then make it funny as well. But, after the talk, I had priests coming to me, they said, I learned so much, whatever I do in life, I always try to find a different way that makes it easier for me to understand, like with submissions and with fighting, I had it as well. But I go ballistic. That's just mean if I get obsessed with when I had to learn the ground game because I was a puncher and a kicker, and then I got the bug and I start going, waking up my wife in the middle of the night, putting in submissions because I would dream submission.
Why are you choking me?
Oh, the whole time. That just didn't happen 5 times. That happened a bunch of times, but then, once you become obsessed with something, you do it a lot. And once you do it a lot, you're going to be good. And that was it. Once I committed, so to say, to the submissions, well, it was really fun because the last fight I lost by submission and I devoted myself to submissions. I won my next 8 fights by submission. And I actually never lost a fight anymore. Just because I made a conscious decision that, hey, that's my weakness. I got to learn this weakness, but I don't want to. Yeah. Boo-boo. Still do it. It's like working out. I work out every day. Do I want to work out? No, almost never, but I do it. And I go, why do you do it? Because then you're not only physically getting stronger, but you're also mentally getting stronger because it's good to do the things that you don't want to do.
Sure.
We all are part of it. And we all try to avoid it now. Oh, I don't want to drive. Order a phone, order the pizza, order this, order that. Take a pill, pop a pill, heartburn, pop a pill, blood pressure, you name it. All the while, that's how we are designed, believe it or not. You live healthy, and you work out, you can beat up pretty much everything that comes at you. Only the really bad, crazy diseases, but for the rest, we wouldn't have had so many COVID deaths.
Sure.
Everybody would have been healthy.
Agree.
So
are you 58?
58, yeah.
What's a workout look like for you at 58?
I'm very simple. I do short workouts, like 40 minutes maximum. So it's either 10 rounds of boxing, and I have these egg weights, like 2.5 pounds, which are very heavy on the shoulders. Then I lost my arm. There's a whole dent in here, atrophied from 4 neck surgeries that I had, but it's finally coming back. It's not going to get stronger, but I couldn't do 5 pounds. I couldn't pull a trigger from a gun. I was really bad. And now I can do 50 pounds. You couldn't
lift 5 pounds with your right arm?
No.
Are you right-handed?
Yeah. And I used to do 9 one-arm pull-ups. I was so crazy strong. And going from that, suddenly not able to grab the milk out of the fridge. It was a very scary moment. But then, after 4 surgeries.
I had an impinged nerve in this region, and it caused my whole left arm for 6 months. I thought I couldn't do a pull-up. When I do a 2-handed pull-up, I'd go up like crooked because I had no strength in that. It freaked me out. I finally got it sorted out, but I thought, man, I'm going to end up, where the arm just doesn't work anymore. It's scary shit. So that was from neck damage.
Neck damage and not even from fighting. That's all from TV shows. I dropped upside down on my head in a TV show. Not even hard, like this high, but that's enough, to quench the nerves. And once the nerves can't send signals to your muscles, that's it, right? That's why people in a wheelchair always tell people can't walk because they don't send the signals anymore to the nerves, to the muscles, and then they simply don't work. And that's the same in the neck, and it goes to the upper bodies and the arms and the other parts. But the lower back, that goes to the legs. So you better make sure that stays right. So I'm training those. I'm constantly revamping them, constantly firing the nerves.
It looks pretty good. I've seen recent pictures of you. It doesn't look like your arm is demonstratively smaller. Have you been able to build some muscle mass back?
A little bit. It was a complete stick. You know, it's, let me see. So, because then you have an idea. I show you, and this is 8 years ago. But then you have an idea. Where is the arm? So on the left side, that was the arm. Watch.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was a little tiny. It was just a stick.
In the new picture, is that recent?
Well, no, that's 2000. Let me see, 15.
So the
but
picture with the bigger muscle is when?
It's 2015, and it's still probably still the same now. So I won't. I think the supporting muscles around it are doing a lot of work, and I stopped complaining. Like in the beginning, I was complaining, and as soon as I got my hand back, I go, Lord, I'm good. Let it go. So no more problems for me, you know, because that was the worst for me. Like if you can't wipe your butt, you know, if you can't hold chopsticks, if you can't hold a fork, dude, and you're right-handed, I started doing everything with left. I had to do it for a CCW in California. I couldn't pull a trigger.
Was it immediate when you fell and hit your head? Was it immediate that you had that loss, or did it take some time?
Yeah, you see, that's the problem. That was the whole problem. So what happened was I had to drop, and then I felt a lot of pain, and the focus went to the pain. And because my shoulder was hurting, it was affecting my whole arm. I didn't use this arm. But then I had to go to an autograph session for the UFC in Boston. This is a while ago. And I couldn't travel, man. It was hurting me so bad. So I went to the doctor. I said, can you put a cortisone shot in this thing? Because this is killing me, you know, and I have to travel, have to be laughing to people and smiling. It's not going to happen right now. So he put a cortisone shot, and now the pain was gone. And then I went to the airport, and I tried to lift my luggage. I couldn't lift it. I was like, oh. I go, what? And I grabbed my other arm, and I go, oh. I go, okay, so it's my arm. That's weird. You know, but not even thinking, because now it didn't hurt, so I could use it. And then a month later, I'm looking in the mirror, and I look at my wife. I go, is my arm getting smaller? Look at this. It started slinking, you know, and that's when I found out, okay, so, but now it was like 2.5, 3 months in after it happened. And with nerve damage, you need to be fast there because nerves can die, you know. So that was the first surgery. Didn't work. Second surgery, then the third surgery. I mean,
dang.
It was a nightmare. Yeah.
What year did that happen?
2010.
Okay. So it's been a while that you've been dealing with it.
Oh yeah, this is over 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you run a gym now? Are you still teaching?
Yeah. I work out these muscles, and then I have another thing where I just walk for 30 minutes on a treadmill incline. But we have an incline here at 30%.
So get the heart rate up, moving your hips and legs.
Very hard and I have no contact, so my kneecaps. So running is painful for me, but that I can do. And then at the last 10 or 15 minutes, I also walk backwards. I said it's very important if you want to stabilize your knees out, you know, train the front and the back. And this is actually what I'm doing with my cable machine routines. Everything I push, I also pull. I always work the reverse muscles as well.
Your knees are jacked up from all the kicking?
No, I think it was from a device I used, and it's a device. I'm not going to mention the name because I don't know 100%, and I don't want to be. But they're not on the market anymore, I believe. So it might have been. It's where your heels, you step in with your front foot, and then the shoe is only around the toe, so to say. So your heel is constantly loose from the ground, meaning there's constantly power, stress on it. And I go, wait, for footwork, calf power is the most important because your calves, not your thighs, because it's too slow. Your calves are making you move fast. Okay, let's do that. But hey, I'm Bas Rutten. I got to go crazier. Let's add 10 pounds on each leg as well as ankle weight. So now I'm 20 pounds heavier, and I'm doing this on these shoes, and I do whole workouts on it, like punching and kicking audio workouts that I developed. It's like half an hour. I do that.
These are the shoes that have they're kind of like a platform under the toe. Is that
it's open under the toe. So if the shoe will be this and this thick, and then this is my heels. Oh yeah, the platform is under the toe. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was mixing it up. You're right.
I knew some basketball players that used to wear those. Yeah.
because they got a bigger jump from it. And I go, you know, and everything is calves in fighting, you know, footwork. It's all your calves. It's none of your upper legs because you're going to be too slow for that. So I thought, and it was fast, it worked, but I think it did something to my kneecaps because I do these knees, like I can do like a lot of these, 10 right knees, 10 left knees, 10 right knees, and I just go up to 400 or something crazy. But then you're on that one leg with 20-pound extra on that special shoe. I don't think it was good. And the leg is stretched. And I think something happened there with my cartilage because right after the fight, that's where all the trouble started.
And, have you been able to identify things in your life where you're like, all right, you're starting to overdo it, taper back here, not even physical, but like, it sounds like you keep telling me that you tend to go hyper speed on anything that interests you. Do you sometimes catch yourself and say, hey, boss, like ratchet it back a little bit? Or do you just say, screw it? Yeah.
But you know, I learned from failures, right? Because that happened with me. Like, for instance, I was the guy. This is what I can understand with Michael Phelps, by the way. He trains every day. Every day. He never has a rest day. Because he says all the time, people that are 50 Sundays off, you know, I have 52 more workouts than them. And I go, yeah, but your body needs rest. And I'll tell you why. Oh, by the way, Michael Phelps, I'm doing this breathing thing, right? We have 6 liters, lung volume. He has 12 liters. It's double the amount. It's freaking insane. What were we talking about?
My coach was my coach, Dan Hart, jiu-jitsu coach. He was a collegiate runner, national champ runner, and he's got like a ridiculous larger lung and cardiac output than the average person. Like, been tested, like, so you're like, well, what the hell, man? Like, you know, you're like something like that. I don't know if it's twice, I don't know if it's 12 liters, but he's got like a ridiculous cardiovascular system that God gave him, and you just use it.
It's, you know, some people are just really blessed with that, I guess. But the thing, what I'm trying to say is that
you're talking about recovery.
Yeah. So I was working out every day. And you have to understand, the first 10 months in Japan fighting, I trained on the back. I had no training partners. I will go to Amsterdam
during the days of Pancrase.
Pancrase, yeah.
Okay.
So 2 times a day, I would 12 rounds on the back, as hard as I could. That was my training. And then sometimes I would spar with my students, which was not fun because since I only do back training, I would knock them out with jabs because I go, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore because, yeah, it's my students. I don't want to lose my students. But I did it 2 times a day, every day. And then I punched myself out apparently one time. And then when they opened the gym, they saw me, say, everything okay? I go, what happened? So I went to the doctor. I had 4% body fat. I was completely crushed and I overtrained. And then my doctor said, how many days of rest you take? I said, never. I train every day because it makes you strong. He says, Bas, this is not how the body works. You know, your muscles, you're breaking your muscles down. You're kind of destroying them. And then your body has a great way of recouping. If you give a protein and rest, it comes back stronger. Same like your bone. You break a bone. If you set it the correct way, it will never break at the same spot again because the body actually makes it stronger. So, and I got in my head, he goes, dude, you're going to be very strong now, Bas. He said, if you take like 2 days off, or at least 1.5 days off, you watch. And that was when I started doing the 1-arm pull-ups. That's like, okay, whoa, yeah, he was right. You need rest and protein in order to recoup and get stronger.
Sure.
Who knew?
It's a little bit of a disease, especially in this culture where tough guys have proliferated that idea of I'll sleep when I'm dead, or I get 52 more days of training. And it's like your doctor told you, I covet sleep. I covet rest. I do. I mean, I come back from my road trips where we're doing our classes. I'm on the road for anywhere from 5 days to 2 weeks, and we're working 12-hour days. I come home, watch Netflix, eat some food, sleep in. I go to the gym and train a little bit, but a little extra time in the sauna, maybe the ice bath. And I'm not trying to get put on a SEAL team or something. I don't need to prove to anybody that my body can be abused to the point of trashing it. So that's kind of a weird thing. And I think now you're starting to hear guys like you, Paul Sharp, my dear friend Paul Sharp, one of the original SBG guys. He recently started talking more about this because he'll tell you, he used to be one of those I'll sleep when I'm dead guys. And now he's telling his students and people to, get proper rest, and which is really kind of silly because no animal does that.
Yeah, everybody. It's like if we just live the way we should live, then listen, we can face everything. Then we don't have to avoid obstacles. We're ready for whatever problem comes at our way, and that's the guy I want to be. When we talk about a man, I want to be that guy.
When did you start cultivating? I didn't mean to cut you off, Bas. When did you start cultivating this idea of, and I didn't know that you were doing this. This kind of dovetails to some of the stuff that we do with our brand. But when did you start this idea of passing on what a good man is? When did that become a thing for you?
That was 9 years when I got back. So I was a heavy drinker at the time. I took my last fight in 2006. I just took that fight. Yeah, well, the money was great. But I was drinking, and my wife said, "What are you doing?" I go, "Well, it's going to make me stop for drinking because there's no way I can drink and train, you know." So that's why I took that fight.
How much were you drinking, Bas?
12, 13 bottles of wine a day.
Bottles?
Yeah.
Like a whole bottle of wine?
Oh, I drink 12 Heinekens, 2 bottles of tequila.
So you were
and then in the morning at 7. In the morning at 7 o'clock, I outrun everybody. Okay, sorry.
How the hell could you, I mean, like, how could you go from being such a super athlete? What was the progression? I don't want to change the topic from this fight, but I want to hear about that. How did you get to the point where you were drinking? I mean, you're saying a case of wine is 6 bottles. You're saying you were drinking 2 cases of wine sometimes in a day?
Yeah. And a day that would start after 5 o'clock. So it's a short amount of time also.
So you were just, after dinner, you just start drinking and you drink till you passed out at night?
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
What happened? Talk about that a little bit.
Well,
I'll shut up.
It's a trick that it's a lot of fighters, a lot of athletes fall in. You know, once your career gets stopped, you know, which got stopped for me, and you don't have the high anymore from knocking somebody out in front of 15,000 people, you start to believe it. Now, I was always a partier, but the one thing I never did is during my work training, I would never do anything bad. But once I'm done with my fight, 3 days, we go crazy. And then I would start training again because in Japan, I fought a lot. I fought like 8 fights a year, like a lot, you know, so you had to be on the tip. But that saved me, a guy like me. As soon as the fight stopped, well, it didn't save me anymore. I just kept drinking. And I'm never like, it's not like I'm walking around and be angry to the kids. And I'm always a happy guy and I'm dancing with them, but still, I'm not a guy. I'm not a man. I'm not a husband. I'm not a father, you know, because you're a stupid guy. You're drunk. You see? And then what happened, and I think it was the person who passed away in the house. It started with the person attacking me in my sleep. I would wake up and would hear something, and then and my body would be pushed in the bed. And then my legs would still moving, and I could not feel anything, but it was such a pressure on the chest, and I tried to rip my leg out and see if I could pull out, but it was too much weight on me. I don't know how to describe it, but it also stopped me from breathing, of course, because if you can't expand your chest, you can't breathe, right? So, and it would freak me out, and I would just start boiling up energy, and then I would suddenly get so aggressive, and I would scream, and then my wife would wake up, and she goes, again? I go, yeah, again. This is crazy. I said, and then I would challenge it. I said, do it when I'm just asleep. Don't wait till I'm in a freaking deep sleep and try to freaking sucker punch me. I know what you're doing. Just attack me if you want to go, you know. And then I saw the person walk, and I thought it was my wife, and it wasn't. So that was a whole situation because I just saw a person right in front of me walk. So now I had to go to the house with the gun because there was somebody in the house. There was nobody in the house. And then one of the biggest one is when I came back from dinner one time with the family. I opened the door and I look at my wife, I go, I think that there's somebody in the house. And I had one of those old StarTech phones. I put 911. I go, here, 911. I say, call it if you hear something. And I jumped in. And there was there was a big wall. There was 2 rooms. There was an open kitchen on this side, and there was a dining room here. And then in the back there was the kitchen. It's all combined, but divided by a wall. And I thought the person was on this side of the wall. And I started walking here, making a lot of noise, hoping this guy would do this. And then, of course, I make a U-turn, and I'm going to catch the guy. Now, when I come in that dining room, there's a doorpost with a thick curtain instead of a door. And when I came sprint around the corner, that curtain flew up against the ceiling. So somebody ran through it. So I just kept running. but there was nobody in the house. You see, that's when I started like, okay. And then I exercised it. I did an exorcism. I didn't even know. I was far removed from the faith. I had no clue. I was only yelling at the faith. I was never, being like everybody else. But somehow something told me that I had to do this at 3 a.m., which I found out later is the opposite of when Jesus passed away. At 3 p.m., that's where the demonic activity is actually at its peak. And I started doing it in the room, in that dining room area, because it was always cold there. And I said, let's do this. Bring it down to my level, so it's physical. And but waiting till I'm asleep and doing that, that's not going to work. If you're a tough guy, I hear you're a tough guy. That's fine, and somehow that worked. And then we moved to another house because I fought and I had the money and I wanted to have a house with a pool, which like 300 yards up, there was the same house that we had, but with a pool. So I went over there. And after the first night, my daughter was sleeping upstairs. I asked everybody, my both daughters, how everybody's first night was. And she said it's cool, but she had some visits from two boys. Two boys. I said, what do you mean, spirits then? And she goes, yeah. I go, you're not freaking out? She goes, no. I go, how old? And she goes, no, 16, 17. I go, honey, you're not freaking out? She goes, no. The one kept laying on the bed, and I just asked him to calm down and if he could go because I wanted to go to sleep. And he left. And I'm looking at my wife, I go, so I go downstairs, I go on the computer, see if something happened, right? Well, in 2001, 4 kids, a boy, a girl and 3 boys, were in a car, the street that's next to my house, got out of control on Christmas Eve, went through the wall of that we have next to our home. I'm walking outside, I see where they repaired the wall. And 2 boys died, 16 and 17 years old. We didn't know that. So now I knew, I was convinced, okay, this is not the life, there's way more out there than we can see with our eyes. And then I started slowly but surely coming back into the faith. There was also a talk that I had. It's a crazy explanation. When I was a kid, when I was 10 years old, I don't remember a lot from when I was a kid because I took an enormous amount of medication and it really affected my memory. They found out later, so thankfully, once we stopped that, everything started coming back. But from my youth, it's bullying, and it's like 3 instances I have. The rest I don't remember. But one was me staring outside out the window and looking at a tree, completely mesmerized by the tree. And I know the teacher, and everybody starts laughing. They're trying to get a hold of me. And finally he's screaming, Rutten. I go, what's going on? He goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm looking at that tree. He goes, what about the tree? I said, where did it come from? He goes, yeah, they planted it there, idiot. I go, yeah, I understand that. But if you go the tree before, you go all the way back.
Right.
Where did the trees come from?
Where did the first acorn come from that made that tree? Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And they thought I was crazy. And then when I was invited to this talk, that guy, and if they would have said, hey, he's going to talk about Jesus or about God, I would have said, I'm good, I'm out, because I was far away from that. I don't know why, but it wasn't my thing. But he didn't say that. He says he's going to talk about how the world came together. Can sit outside, smoke a cigar, jump in, man. I go, sure, it's only 30 minutes, why not? And the guy, the first thing he says is the leaf fell from the tree. I go, that's a weird thing to say. He says that leaf just reached this end destination. He says, let's backtrack that leaf. And he goes to the branch, and then he goes to the tree before, and the tree before, and the tree before. And he starts going back, and I'm looking, and I go, what do I know this story from? It was almost like God planted a seed in me when I was 10 years old. He says, this is going to come back like 40 years from now. Watch. And then when he started doing that, and if you hear that talk and the way he's doing that, well, we're a design, right? You find out there's a designer in play here. This not magically pops up. It's like people when they say, what's the first, the egg or the chicken? I go, it's the chicken. He goes, where did it come from? God created a chicken. Poof, there's a chicken. He didn't create an egg. So but once you, and that was it. And I started getting into it. And then it started really speaking to me, these verses, and to become a better person, that's hard work. To try to have everything under control, and then you have your family, you have to do that. And I'm still far removed from doing everything perfect, but I got much better, and it helped for everybody. The whole family started changing. I got married again for the church this time, and my wife started making the changes because she saw me change, and everything fell together. And suddenly here we are, and I just want to be like Matthew Kelly is a Catholic speaker as well, and he says, just want to be the best version of yourself. That's a line that he came with, and as soon as he made that line, that's when people start noticing him. So, but I like that line. I just want to be the best version of myself.
I like that.
Yeah. So if we can all do that and just treat people like you want to be treated, what the student of the greatest commands, they say, love God. Well, imagine you're an atheist, don't do that. But live by rule number 2. Treat people treat thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah, love thy neighbor as thyself.
And if
This
you
is
do
the
that,
first commandment with a promise.
that's it.
I had an uncle. I remember I was like maybe 17 years old. I worked with him. He's a good man. He's a good mentor. He's a good friend. He was probably in his 40s at the time. And I'm sitting with him on some sawhorses on a construction site. And I said to him, man, I can't wait till I'm your age. And he said, why? Like, why do you want to be my age? And I said, because, you know, I'll have like shit all figured out. And he started laughing, and it was like a big guttural laugh. You know, he's laughing his ass off. And I'm like, what's so funny? And I had plenty of troubles in my young years. And I'm like, man, I'll have plenty of money. I'll like have a house, and, I'll like, have sorted out all these problems that are in my head. Yeah. He goes, Mick, on my grave, they can put, here lies Uncle Bob. He didn't figure shit out. And I remember I was like crushed, because I always thought in the future, I'll figure this stuff out. And eventually I figured out it was a good thing that he had said, but he was being honest. He was being real about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just keep trying.
You keep trying. And trying, it's like I do they call it an examination of conscience. Like every evening I try to go over the day, what I did and what I didn't do. So the good things that I did, can I make it better? The bad things that I did, there's never real bad things, but the not so good things, can I make sure that won't happen again? And just by thinking of it, take 5 minutes. But just by thinking about it, it will change.
Taking an inventory of what you did, what you didn't do.
Yesterday,
it's such a simple thing, but I think it's too easy to just fall into habits of placating ourselves, just doing or being whatever it is you're used to. It's to sit there and objectively look at ourselves we say it's hard. It's not hard at all, but it's uncomfortable. Maybe that's a better word. It makes us uncomfortable.
It is because, again, we're all a bunch of pussies. I always say pussies. Yeah, look at the word pusillanimous, which means lack of courage and determination.
Yeah.
And this is what we are.
I'm going to start calling people pussy.
Pussy, yeah, because I did this at this talk and people were quiet. I started laughing. I said, "That's not what you guys think." And it's pusillanimous. That's where I got it from. But it really is, like I said, if you have to break up on your phone because you don't have the cojones to look him in the face, how are you going to predict? Ladies, he's available. Do you want to marry that?
Sure. That's a pussy.
That's a pussy, and you don't need those kind of people. And the whole world changed. If you look back 50, 60 years ago, how people walk around in New York, beautiful, man, suits, nice hats. Look at them now.
My father talks about that a lot. We have dumbed ourselves down. We know more. We have access to more, but I don't think it's bad to have on jeans and a t-shirt, but there's also something that you want to put out into the world, a good image. And not everybody can afford a nice suit, of course, but yeah, you could still care about your image for sure.
Yeah, you don't have to wear a shirt that only comes to here and your belly pops out and a really tight pants and then you're walking around, you can find something bigger, that fits. But what they're going to say? They said, no, but I like to wear that. You see, and this is where I changed a little bit now. In the early days, I used to do that. I used to use profanity and all that stuff because I like to do that. Now I'm going to say, what's the majority of people? I'm going to adapt to that. What about that? And the good people, not the bad ones. You see, so now I'm going to say, if I'm going to walk around like freaking idiot, I go, nah, yeah, I love to walk around like this. Yeah, but you know what? You are going to get some remarks. You're going to get some things. So let's avoid that. And just walk around nice, so to say. This is, I'm talking about clothes, and I don't have that problem, but you can do this with everything else in life as well. You see, so just blend in, be part of society. I tell people, you're all day long on a computer or in front of your TV smoking weed and being non-productive. I don't think that's the way to go through life. I think you need to be part of society. I think you need to help, and everybody needs to do their part. But that's what I believe. Yeah, but we all want to be ourselves. Go to Europe. They give you money there. You don't have to work. to that.
Are you a citizen here?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you go home often?
Once every 4 months or so.
Okay, so that's pretty often to
Yeah.
travel back. What do you feel America has to offer for you that you didn't have at home?
I think capitalism, I think it's a really great system also. I think you can make here, I can make here 10 times the amount of money for the same job I do in Holland. You know, in Holland, it's pay a lot of taxes. Like we're talking over 55%. If you live in France, it's 75%, you know, and somehow people believe that socialism is the big way to go. But I always tell my friends, ask any person in Holland, first question, do you have a job? Because if they don't have a job, they love it. But if they do have a job, ask them what they think about it. You will find not one that loves it. And they all, people go like, whoa, what's going on? You know, so if you like to pay, but by now it's like $10 a gallon of gas. If you like to pay for an SUV, let's say I have a Ford Expedition, that's $550 a month in taxes, about $500 a month in insurance, and then you have to pay $10 a gallon. It's fun, right? Taxes. Then you pay also 55% taxes. Oh, this is great. If you have to go, there's so many things. Like, listen, if everybody will be honest.
We had a breakup in our signal. Go back. You said the vehicle was $550 a month in taxes.
In taxes, and insurance is also really high because a big vehicle can do more damage to another vehicle or to the road.
You have to pay monthly taxes on a vehicle. So you don't just pay sales tax, you pay tax every year for owning it.
Everywhere. And that's why everybody drives little tiny cars. You know, the rich, they have the big cars. But this, you know, and then you have a lot of people, the Dutch people who are misusing the system, a lot of people who come from foreign countries who are misusing the system, who don't work, but still get welfare. And that is really high. And that's why the taxes are raises. They go up and up and up and up. And now you got, for instance, an injury in your neck and you need to be helped next week. Well, you can't. You have to go in line, just like everybody else. Yeah, but wait, these are nerves. This is really dangerous. If I'm not fast there enough, that's good trouble. Yes. Not good for you, I understand that, but still, you're gonna have to wait in line. My mother had a nerve thing in her leg for a year and a half. I never saw my mother cry from pain. She was crying from pain. And she gave her OxyContin, and she's not gonna take that. They're the old people, they don't give a crap. They just pull through it. And then a year and a half later, they found out there was something, they made a mistake. They misdiagnosed. Now they could fix it. We're all happy. Okay, when? Tomorrow? 2.5 months? Wait, you made a mistake. Yeah, no, you have to back in line again and wait for everybody else. So yeah, whatever they promote about it, it's really not like that. But just simply ask any person in Europe and they will tell you the same what I'm just saying, what to you right now. Yeah, but
it's interesting though, because you just look through comment sections online and you hear people constantly recite the litany of Europe does it better or you know, other parts of the world have this stuff sorted out. But every time I talk to somebody like you that's lived there or has lots of travels there, they say what you just said.
You know,
Go ahead.
Will Smith, he's on YouTube. You can find this. You can literally Google YouTube it. He goes to France and promote a movie, and he's sitting there and he's in the show, and he goes, "Oh my God, you guys, socialism, man! I love socialism. This is awesome." And then the host says, "You love socialism," and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Can I ask you what you make per movie?" And Will Smith says, "No, I can't say that." He says, "Can we say $20 million for a movie? Let's say." And Will Smith goes, "Yeah." He says, "So how much do I keep?" And the guy goes, 4.5. And he goes, "What? You keep 4.5?" He says, "Oh, I don't know. Socialism is a great thing then." That's France. You pay over 75% taxes.
That's insane.
Yeah, and if people will be good, it's a great system. But unfortunately, people are not good. And there's a lot of people misuse. There's a lot of Dutch people who don't have a job. They get money, and then they do a black job on the side. So they make double the money, and they get from and who's paying for that? All the people who are working, and that's why the taxes are rising.
Wow.
You know, so, yeah.
What part of the States do you live in?
Now I live in Texas.
You're in Texas?
Yep.
Got out of California.
Yes, last year, 4th of July, we arrived here. right on
Okay.
time for the fireworks.
It's a beautiful state. I've got quite a few friends in Texas. And do you run a gym there? Do you train on the regular martial arts anymore? Anything like
So
that?
I'm in this big building here, and they have a nice gym inside, and I'm just 15 people using it. Or maybe in the morning, I've never seen more than 3 of the same faces or 4 of the same face. So it's perfect for me. Nice and relaxed, but I don't do gym right now. I'm too busy with traveling, karate combat. It's the full contact karate league. I'm a commentator for. Then my long training device, the Otis trainer, that's working a lot. And I do these public speaking events as well. I want to keep those 3 things. That's pretty much it. Because otherwise it's going to be too crazy again. I did so much traveling, I want to be here now and bring the missus on more trips, so we're getting
That's
older.
nice. What's this lung trainer thing you keep bringing up? I've seen you advertise it. What is this thing? What's it do?
It trains your muscles responsible for opening up your lungs.
The diaphragm?
The diaphragm and your intercostals, which are the muscles in between your ribs. The external ones, the one on the outside, are the ones that pull the chest open. And there's a vacuum between your body and your lungs, and that vacuum will open up your lungs. So for people who believe that your lungs don't have muscle.
Sure.
Nothing. If you can't expand your chest, you die. So once you start training those muscles, which nobody trains, and then also find out that 95% of the population is breathing incorrect, which was included me when I was fighting. You'll see me in videos that I have now breathing this. If you stand in front of a mirror and you take a deep breath and you see you raising your shoulders, this device can get you up to 5 times more oxygen in your body. Whoa. Up to five times. That's the big difference that is. Why do you think every endurance athlete in the Olympics, the high level people, are all using inspiratory muscle training? That's what you're doing. You're working out your muscles responsible for breathing, which, by the way, you have 11 pounds of those muscles. So if you train your diaphragm, which is like a thin dome shaped muscle tendon, like a bowl cap, which is doing, it's almost like this, like a shower cap, they call it also. But imagine this on the outside is attached to the bottom part of your ribs.
Mm-hmm.
What that bowl cap does, it drops down every time when you want to breathe. And from their angle, you can't see, but here you see it expands. As soon as it drops down, it expands, rips open your chest, that together with the intercostal muscles, and boom, that's an inhale. And of course, this goes freaking doopy fast, but it's very important to train those muscles. Now, if you, after the age...
Aren't we training them every time we breathe and run or lift?
You want to train your biceps? How many curls do you need to do without a weight? 1,000? If you really want to work them out? That's the same with breathing. But you add weight training to your breathing muscles, that's a whole different animal now. And also, if you think about, this is why it's so great for fighting as well, and for street fighting, even for every fighting, because if you're gassing, the moment you're gassing, what happens is this. Like, imagine you're running up a hill. I use a simple exercise, and your legs are getting tired. Suddenly the body starts regulating your blood flow. What it does, it takes actually the blood away from your legs. You go, whoa, no, it's not. We're running. We need it. Yeah, no. You know who need it more? Your 11 pounds of breathing muscles. They're the number 1 priority in the body. So they take it away, blood stealing. That's literally a medical term. They take it away from the legs, set it to your breathing muscles, and boom, you gas. That's when you start gassing. Now, those breathing muscles, you can't work out. Like you said, you can train them, but you can't make them stronger. You need weight training for that, resistance training with that. That's what an O2 trainer does. It's inspiratory muscle training. I didn't invent something new. This has been going on since the first Olympics. The runners were doing it. I'm talking about the gladiators. I mean, it's all breathing, but these guys also were breathing correctly. We don't breathe correctly anymore. We all raise our shoulders because we don't want to look fat. It starts at the age of 4 or 5.5. We all breathe perfectly before that age, but then we become subconscious. Then we start thinking about, oh, there's a cute lady. We start getting interested. Well, if I breathe through my belly, it looks like I'm fat. So they start looking at superheroes. They start breathing upper chest so they can flex their body the whole time. Look at bodybuilders walking around. They have the worst breath on the planet. Because you need to breathe diaphragmatically. And that does so much to you. If you just breathe like this, you're really taking the upper part of your lungs, while the most dense, oxygen-rich part of your lungs is actually at the bottom. So if you focus by breathing, and you know this, but I always tell people, like Tim Kennedy, right? Sharpshooters, they breathe perfectly. Because what if you are chest breathing? There's a lot of movement. So it's only... You see, it's all diaphragmatic breathing, but he's also a ranger and they're freaking high level endurance.
That device is restricting airflow to force you to have to use your diaphragm under stress to suck in or exhale, to inhale or exhale. Restrictive.
Exactly. And it takes I do it 5 minutes. I'm an overachiever, so to say, but it takes about 4 minutes a day. That's it. And then people are doing it for a week.
Exercising while you're doing it, or are you just sitting and breathing through it?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I started with doing it exercising, and then I got in contact with a guy who trains a lot of high-level Olympians. Even he trained for a while Usain Bolt. And he said, Bolt sleeps in a high-altitude tent. And as soon as he gets out, first thing he does in the morning is respiratory muscle training. And he says, Bas, you're working out with it. You don't need to do that. You just go for 30 repetitions, they say. But it's about 4.5 minutes. You do a certain breathing exercise with it. So the exercise number one will be you put it in your mouth. You bend at your diaphragm level because that will press a lot of air out of your lungs. And then I go completely forward with the auto trainer in my mouth. And then when I come up, I start inhaling with force and only focus on this part of my core to expand. And if you feel that you're raising your shoulders, grab the bottom of your chair. That's what I always say. Do not raise your shoulders. I mean, that will make everything so bad. So it's a very simple. I just do it one time, so then at least you see one rep. You do these 30 times, and that will be it. So it's this. And then you do exactly the same thing. Now, this will attack the front breathing muscles. But wait, there's more. We got 360 degrees around those muscles. Also back breathing. For people at home, if you do this for the very first time, do not do 30 repetitions, as we say. And I will mention this because these are muscles you never used before, because we'll use the front breathing muscles if we're using them, because it's only 5%. The rest uses chest. But the other one is you expel all the air out. I do by putting my shoulder blades together and then again, bending at diaphragm level. And then I lean with my elbows on my legs. I completely relax and then I start breathing in and I focus on my back to expand. The lower part of my rib cage on the back, that I want to expand. And it's really weird how your body and mind works, because once you start focusing on that, you literally feel your back breathing muscles. I did this 30 times the very first time. I walked around with 3 days, insane muscle aches. So I always tell people, though, it's like you worked out your back muscles really hard. This is what one looks like. And then you repeat. So it's a very simple thing, a very effective thing. No batteries, no nothing, no apps. You're literally going to feel it. And it's good for everything. I was talking about your brother, because he did this whole piece. He was the depression and anxiety. This is really, it's proven what it does for the depression and anxiety, because what it does, it stimulates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the nerve that is the 10th cranial nerve, physically involved in every physiological action in your human body. Like also breathing and blinking your eyes, things that we don't know, but also here. And it's also in part, once you start breathing diaphragmatically, you're stimulating the vagus nerve. This is something I actually did when I was fighting unknowingly, because I didn't know anything about breathing. You see me on world title fights breathe like this, really bad. But what I would do in the dressing room always to calm down, would take deep breaths, and I would go like in. I would hum because it would make my stomach vibrate, and I felt like that feeling, and it calmed me down. Now I know what I was doing, because they say that deep breathing, shorter inhales with longer exhales are stimulating the vagus nerve. Another way to stimulate the vagus nerve is singing or humming. And I go, whoa, I combined the two. I combined the breathing together with the humming, and it worked. And for my head, I do a higher sound because then my skull vibrates. If I go a little higher. So if I have a headache, I'll always do that. And if I was nervous, I would do this. And it lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure. And then in turn, because you lower those two, your cortisol levels drop. And this is how you calm. That's why all these high-level special forces guy, they get breathing classes, because it's so important to breathe the correct way. And also with firing guns and with everything else, of course. So yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's everything for balance, for back problems, Ankle problems, breathing. Are you serious? Listen, I have it all published medical journals to back it up. People come to me and say, so it's not true, asthma. Look at the public, go to my website. There's a whole list of published medical journals. And as you know, I can doctor a published medical journal. What they say, that's it. Nobody can do anything about it. So I have the
How much are they? How much do they cost?
$59.95. And I know this is but it comes with a box. I don't have one here with 15 different. Listen, this is how I came up with it. This is the crazy. So I had an asthma. I was a severe asthma patient, but I was also doing track and field. I was decathlon, and I was pretty good already. So I would every time when I was a week in bed, not able to eat at times because of my I was breathing like this for 7 days straight. I would resume my track and field, and I would break my running times. And it drove me insane. Why? What's going on? Is it the medication I'm taking? What's going on? And then I went to the doctor's office and I saw a drawing of a pair of lungs on the wall. And as a kid, and as a lot of adults also, because I believe this as an adult, that the lung infection, it's in the lungs. It's not. It's the airways that go to the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And one showed an infected airway and the other one showed a healthy airway. And I go, oh, I've been working out my lungs with resistance because I thought my lungs were doing the work, as a kid. Well, a lot of adults don't even know that your lungs don't do anything. So why don't I come up with something that controls the air intake? And then I started experimenting. I'm looking if I can see my car keys because I have a washer on my car keys as a friendly reminder. That was my first O2 trainer. I will put a washer with a little hole in there in front of my teeth and we start breathing in. But then I realized, thankfully, very fast that it's a very dangerous thing to do because if that shoots in your lung, if it bypasses your airway, can I bring it out?
Swallowed another nickel. Yeah. That's funny shit.
That's it. But and then once I did it in 2011, I made a prototype. I started working out with it. Notice every single fight, everywhere I bet, every single workout. I'm going, I train for 2 minutes, lungs closed, have to spray them open with an albuterol. 3 weeks after training with the prototype, no more asthma. Gone. No more inhalers. Whoa. Called my buddy in Holland, sent him one because he's asthma. He calls me after 8 days. He's selling him now in Europe. He goes, dude, my asthma's gone. I go, dude, we're up to something. This is great. My asthma's gone. That's why I said it. Yeah, I was so happy. And then now I got all the published medical journals to back it up. It's like everybody has that. I mean, I have a commercial that when I say, if you have this for your asthma or COPD, and your asthma or COPD is not 70% or more gone in 1 month, I'll give you your money back. That's how convinced I am. And every single person who does it, we have the highest ratings on Amazon right now. We're the #1 choice on Amazon from all the breathing devices. And you can't buy that. You can't go to Amazon and say, here's $10,000, put me #1.
Sure.
It's not working like that.
Yeah, so, we sell products on Amazon. You can't do that for sure.
So, it's kept going and my balance suddenly got getting better. Oh, that's all balance. And I have an Australian singing school is buying them from me because, it's all posture, right? Presenting and so everything is core and everything is your diaphragm. And this is what blows me away, Mick. It's like when you see all these fighters, they're talking about other fighters. Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is a guy who's known for his stamina. My God, I wish I had his stamina. Look at him breathe. If he back to the corner, you see this. There's no movement in his shoulders whatsoever. He's got the perfect breath. Same, some other fighters who have that as well. But the most fighters, I would say over 70%, you see them breathing like that. They can increase so much more by simply doing this for freaking 5 minutes a day. I had Lyoto Machida, but he's a karateka. And these karatekas, man, I got to tell you, they set a freaking habit and they won't break the habit. And he was training with it already for 4 months every day, 4.5 minutes a day. And he had COVID. He left me a voicemail message. He said, Bas, I had COVID. After COVID, he's decided 2 days after it was out of bed, he started training with his students. He outworked all his students. He says, they're fighting in the UFC and in Bellator and all these other organizations. I had more stamina than them. He says, this thing is freaking crazy. He was blown away. I said, listen, if you do it and every person does it, it's 100% going to help. But this is the problem. I figured it out finally. So people go, yeah, but I've been training for a week and it's working counterproductive because my stamina got worse. And then I go, wait, were you doing it before you did your stamina? I go, yeah. I go, oh, I never thought about this because I don't have this problem anymore. Because with me, my muscles are updated. But think about this. So imagine your mother asks you to move a few heavy boxes, like 20 heavy boxes from the house. And you decide to go to the gym and do a heavy biceps workout before you're going to do that. That's going to be working counterproductive. That's the same with this. You work out your 11 parts of breathing muscles, and then right away you start training. Yeah, now that's going to backfire. So for those people, I say, do it at night before you go to sleep. So this way, at night, your muscles are getting stronger, and then you don't have that problem. But after you did it for a month, like I do it before I do a conditioning workout, because now we have preliminary tests have been saying that your second wind is actually your diaphragm being warmed up. So now what I do 30 repetitions before I go on the treadmill. I don't even open my nose. People go treadmill. Yeah, you didn't hear what we said before. It's a 30% incline, and it's all. So for me not to even turn open my mouth anymore because my breathing is so much under control, it's a game changer. It really is.
You familiar with Brian McKenzie at all? New York Times best-selling author, The Art of Breath. He's been part of one of our training events for years. So we teach 5 days of combatives, martial arts, emergency medicine, and we work breath work into all of that. So I'm interested to get one of these and try it myself. I've got a pretty good gas tank for what I need it for, but I always want more.
You send me your address, bud, and I'll send you one, because you're the guy who's going to do it. That's the thing, because I give it to let's say I've been given at least 125, 150 away from fighters. I think 5 used it. It's almost like when they want to see immediate improvement. This is the guys who go to the gym to change their bodies, and apparently in 1 week they can have an updated body. I go, it doesn't work like that. Just like a bit of muscles, you need to retrain your muscles. It takes some time, 4 weeks, 6 weeks.
That's easy. And you take that thing on an airplane with you. You take that thing on a car ride, train ride, whatever. Put it in your backpack all the time. We sit in airports and crap like that and work it.
I put this is a 1.5 millimeter screen in the office. It's pretty small, but I do it 3, and then I walk the dog, and I just go for 10 minutes. And you don't need to do, but it's just while you're walking the dog, you just only focus on these muscles. You're working out your freaking breathing muscles while you do something else. So for people who say they don't have time, if you have 5 minutes where you do something like walking or whatever it is.
Oh, vacuuming the living room.
Huh?
You could do it while you're vacuuming your living room or washing dishes or anything. Yeah.
Washing dishes. Yeah.
I like it. Do you ever have to have people plug their nose? Get a nose clamp or anything?
Did that. Yeah, we did it in the beginning, but then I said to people, because I'm cheating. I go like, okay, so this is what I said always in fighting. If there's one person in the world you shouldn't cheat, you should be yourself. Because that's how addiction starts. That's how everything starts. Once you say to yourself, I'm not going to do it, and you do it, you get used to that situation. Because if I say, you get used to everything, and that's why addiction is there. That's why everything is there. Like in the beginning, if you don't like to sing in public, well, after doing it 5 times, it becomes easy. You did it 50 times, now you do it everywhere. This is even, when you bad things, or what, it doesn't really matter. You get used to everything. So whatever I always tell people, but you don't like, most of the time it's because you don't understand it. Try to understand it, but do that. Everything that you are not good at, but it's part of your job, do that a lot. And that's what I did with the submissions as well. I wasn't good at it. I'll have to change it. And it changed my whole career. Never lost a fight anymore. But you can do this with everything. And what I always tell people, it's not only me. Everybody can do the same thing. It's just doing it. But that's the problem nowadays, because we got so much distracted and we want it faster. And we want cheat codes. That's what we want with everything in life.
Yeah.
And we don't want to man up anymore and just work out. Do some work for it. Not realizing that if you work hard for it. Imagine this. I always tell people, imagine you're a fighter, but you never have to work out. You just go to the fight and you win anyway. You always win. Will you think it's fun for you? It looks from the outside like it's a lot of fun. It's not fun at all. You need the hardship. You need to go through pain. You need about going through injuries and working around those injuries and all these things. You can't drink, can't eat what you want, can't go to this part. You have that line. And that final at the very end, then if you fight and you win, of course, that moment is a great moment because you worked so hard for it. And if you lose, well, you lost for a reason. Apparently, you need to get better at certain areas. Well, so that should inspire you to work even harder. And that's why I can't stand in school the participation trophies and all that bullcrap, because you don't tell them to have to change. You know, if you have an overweight kid finishing last the whole time and you still give him a participation, don't give him anything. You didn't win. You weren't not the 1, 2, or 3. And that hopefully, oh, but it's so hard. That's the problem in the society, right? It's not hard. You're a pussy. That's what it is. A pussy, I should say. Pussy. Because it's not. Don't we want our kids to die of old age? Don't you want your kid not to die of a heart attack? Let the freaking kid, maybe he gets inspired. Hey, I don't like to be the last one anymore. And that inspires him to start running. But if you give him a trophy anyway, why would he change? Hey, Mom, I got a trophy.
I think I think there's one more thing to add to that. And what are the parents doing? How are they living? There's a couple of young men at our gym. You'd love this kid. I won't say his name, but shows up at the 6 a.m. class before school. He's in high school. So he comes to 6 a.m. jiu-jitsu with a bunch of grown-up men. He's in high school. And then comes at 6 o'clock at night after school. So he's at class twice a day. He's trying to go to the military. And just a little fire plug. He's 120 pounds, and he's got 200-pound men tossing him around, and he takes it with laughing and smiling. And I asked him one day, I was like, hey, is your dad, does he do this stuff? Is he work out? Is he out of bed early, jumping rope? Like, I'm just trying to figure out like where this kid's got this fire in his guts from. And he goes, hell no, my dad's a fat ass. I was laughing. So I figured it was one or the other, right? Like either he's got this model at home or it was what it was. But I go, hey man, I'm like, don't tell people that. Like it's pretty rude to tell tell people that about your old man. But so like that, I think is totally missing too, right? What's good for me, like my father, it was pretty normal. How many push-ups can you do? How many pull-ups can you do? How many squats can you do? How fast can you run a mile? My dad had 7 sons, so it was like quite normal for him to say, who can do more calf raises with 200 pounds on the calf machine, or like who can shoulder press the most weight? Just normal.
To
like
get you guys tired, because otherwise you were too much. 7 boys.
Yeah, and 4 girls. My parents had a lot of kids. But my point was, it was like I always saw a father lifting weights. Dude, in my dad's office where his weights were, he had a framed picture of Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, like from the first movie. He had a framed picture, and then he had what else was in there? I think like an old school Arnold pose from like 1975 or something like that. And like that was like the men that were in his gym. A lot of gay jokes I made tons of gay jokes about it, but like that was what I saw. And then nowadays you walk around, I see dads, and I'm not being mean with what I'm about to say, but I think, man, if that kid needs you to run across a freaking parking lot because the building's on fire or whatever, you're screwed. Yeah. Like it seems like people are very happy to be uncapable.
But it's because their mind makes them incapable. They're all okay with it now because everybody's okay with it. You shouldn't be okay with it. It's a problem. Being overweight it's not healthy for you. It's more stress on the joints. It's more stress on the whole body, on the heart, on everything. So this is not us being mean. This is us. That's love. You want them to be healthier. Listen, I have people in my gym, who lose like 80 pounds. You should see their lives like so different, so happy before they came in, and then this person they are now. And it's all about baby steps. It's not about getting the body you want in 2 months. Take a year. It's a journey. It's not a race. Once you make something a race, you never sustain it. It's like people say, oh yeah, I'm going to take no salt. Don't do that. take 10% less this week, and next week 10% less. And what do you know? Suddenly you're at 10% only over, and you don't even notice it. But if you cut it out right now, you can sustain that for like 2 weeks, and you want to go back because it was so good. But if you gradually, and I do that with everything. If you see me work out, I do workout. People would have laughed at me, but you saw me fight, and I was breathing wrong. So if I do this now, I'm like bizarre in shape. I would do 15 1-minute rounds on the back. And this is for my 30-minute fights, because we had 1 round of 30 minutes in Japan. This is not like breaks, 30 minutes go, you know? So I would do 15 1-minute rounds, but I go as hard as I can. I have all these guys who come in, oh, you auto-training, you use it through your mouth, but I'm a nose breather. I go, dude, I give you a 1.5-minute workout, you open your mouth. Guarantee you, I'll put $1,000 down. There's no way you're going to keep your mouth closed if you do what I say. That's how hard it goes. So I go ballistic. It's all controlled aggression. Everything is in sets that I'm doing with combinations. Every single punch is as hard as I can. Only 1 minute, 1 minute off. But then once I can complete all 15 rounds, I start increasing the work time by 5 seconds every week and decreasing my recoup time by 5 seconds. So 1 minute 5, 55 seconds break. Once I can do all 15 rounds, the next one, 1 minute and 10, 50 seconds break. And I go all the way till I hit 1.5 minutes. Now I can 1.5 minutes go berserk, and I recoup in 30 seconds. Trust me, you can do this for 15 times. You can do a 13-minute fight. Why do I say that? How many times you see a boxer or a kickboxer throwing somebody in the corner and they start unloading on that guy for 20 seconds only, as hard as they can. And if they can't put him away, they're gassed. Well, I just did this 15 times, 1.5 minute full blast. So trust me, but since I do gradually, and I all learned this after I passed out myself, you know, from training too much, you can never overtrain. I start my Thai pads with 2-minute rounds. People go 2-minute rounds, yeah. But before a fight, I do 7 6-minute rounds.
You're saying you can't overtrain if you're using this methodology. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Gradually more. Your body adapts. If I go from 1 minute to 1.5 minutes, in 2 weeks, I'm burned out. I could probably do it with a lot of pain because it's very hard. But if I gradually build up to it, the fight's not next week. The fight is in 10 weeks or in 8 weeks. Spread it out over those 8 weeks. And that's the trick. That's really the trick. And of course, your workouts are really hard. They always should be hard. Sparring is always hard. Sparring, how many times a week? I'm blown away with people who do it once a week. They go, how do you do? I say, every workout. We always spar. That's what you're going to do, right? I mean, that's your spar. But you need good sparring partners. I mean, if you see a spar, people don't come back just by watching us because they think that these guys are slaughtering each other, but it only looks like that. Nobody gets knocked out. To the body, yes. You better try me to drop me to the body, and I will do the same thing to you, but not too crazy. You don't want to injure somebody. And it's the same with the legs. We kick hard, but we have no egos. As soon as I feel a little bruise, I go, dude, stop, take it easy on the right low kicks now. You know, just say it. Don't have an ego. Just tell them. And this way you never get injured. And of course the head, we're not going to knock each other out of the head. But all the 4 times a week that I used to go hard, like 100%, and I did it only 4 times a week, that would be like the 15-minute rounds, something like that, or hill sprint.
How was recovery after that when you were training like that? When you'd lay in bed at night, did you feel like completely smoked, or were you able to get up the next day and
easy? Yeah, that completely smoked that I have at this age now, right? It's like insane. You have a nonstop muscle aches. I never had that. It doesn't go away anymore. It looks like, you know, I take a lot of EAAs, so that helps a lot. But still, I go, dude, I had never muscle aches. But now it's after every workout the next day, I go, dude, I just worked out those muscles 3 days ago again as well. Very hard. How is it even possible to have muscle aches again? Drives me insane.
Yeah, that's a part of life. Dude, I was watching a bunch of the footage. And this is stuff you probably get asked all the time and talk about, which is why I didn't want to go into that, because you've got plenty of discussions like this. But I watched a bunch of your fight footage. You were scary. You would stalk these dudes and start chopping wood, man. Like you were just trying to chop people down. Like, did you ever see people watch your opponent and see a change when you started landing blows? Like,
Yeah.
where you knew, like, okay, this is over. I'm like, did you see the fight go out of guys ever? I was
Yeah.
watching. I'm like, man, I'd shoot that dude. I would shoot you. There's no way I would stand there.
Yeah, no, I did. Also, before the fight, sometimes you see it already. You know, if they didn't want to be there. Like I do never stare downs. I always look at their bellies, and I look down because I'm a hothead. If they try to intimidate me, I'm gonna lose. I have to overdo it, you know. And I just don't want my mind to be polluted. I want it to completely be relaxed, because then it works the fastest. I get all the reflexes in place and don't get angry. But I would look at the bellies, and sometimes I would see the belly go like this, you know. And then I looked at my belly. I go, ooh, okay, I'm not nervous. He is very nervous. That's going to help, you know. So these things I would do. But yeah, I don't like. I'm not the guy who needs to get hit in the face. I'm not the guy. I had somebody one time who was helping me. I wouldn't say for what fight. He was helping me for 2 months for a fight, and then he was also training other famous fighters, like very famous fighters. He says, "Boss, just before we walked out, he says, can I see you outside?" I said, "Sure." We go outside. He stands in front of me. He says, "Listen, man, this guy tries to take food away from your family, and I say, stop right there." He goes, "What?" I said, "I don't need this talk." He says, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm going to get angry. I don't want to be angry. I don't need this talk. I'm good." He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I'm good." And then I walked back. But some people need that. People need it. They need to get angry at it. I said, but anger for me makes you want to lose control. You lose control. I always tell people, if I want to knock you out, this is my punch. Pop. If I'm angry, this is going to be the punch. I'm going to load up because I'm angry. I want to hurt you extra. Now I'm telegraphing. You see, so the more in control and more relaxed you are, to me, that works the best. Like all these guys, they need to get hit in the face before, and they're screaming. You see, for me, it doesn't. For them, it works. You see, everybody's different. Not saying that. But to me, calmness always wins. That's what I think. Stamina, knowing what you completely prepared. Preparation is the key to success with everything. If you want to get rid of your nerves, preparation. Public talk, if you can dream it, nerves are gone. You know, once you start, oh, I can't go 5 rounds, it's a title fight. Yeah, now you're going to get nervous. You know, but if you just prepare, and I'm really good with that, you know, because even with movies.
Did you use visualization?
Lots.
Yeah. What did that look like?
It's everything. No, it's just all their attacks. Every attack that comes, you know, if they give me a jab, I can push in my stance. I have an open stance. I'm wide open like this. I don't like to blade. If you blade, you take all the power away from your left. If you're right-handed, all the power. You can't check low kicks. You can't kick with the left, not knock out blows. You know, you might get lucky with an arm punch or something. The jab is a lousy punch. I will eat your jab in order to trade it for a cross. That's how bad it is. But if I stand like a Mike Tyson would stand, now my left is a straight punch. Now my right is still a cross, and it's still the hardest punch, but left is coming very close. I think it was 93% compared to 100% of this when I did it on the back, when they were measuring my impact. They go, how's that possible? I go, it's because of my stance. If I would stand like this, there's no way I can generate that kind of power. So I just work on that, lots of power. And then the fighting becomes very easy, right? I hit you really hard in the head. What happens? Hands go up. There's my next target. I do the other way around too.
When I'm talking about visualization, I mean maybe laying in bed at night, or
yeah.
So how deep did you go into that game of seeing the fight unfold? Like,
That's literally what I'm doing, everything. So if I see him throwing across to my body, it's already pushing it to the side. That's my counter. And I push this side. It's on the other side, left to the body. That's my cross. I'll counter with the left hook. It's all visualization. Everything. Low kick comes, puff. I'm in my head. I've already checked it. And then low kick, I'm almost never checked. You don't need to check, because if I step into it, listen, to this day, and I'm very proud of this, and then I want throwing it out. Till this day, I still hold the highest striking accuracy, they say, in mixed martial arts in the entire world. And it's just because of the way I fight. I don't throw jabs. I don't throw things. I like to be a counter fighter, but I'll also like to attack. But I just like to make every punch or every kick mean something. Like if I kick you and I see that to your body and I see that you're going to block, I don't hold back. I'll kick as hard as I can on your defense. I try to send you a message. I want you to understand the power that goes, shit, I better block that kick. You see, now I'm inside your head. If I take the power of the kick, he goes, well, whatever. But if I kick as hard as I can on his defense, he's going to be afraid of the kick. He's going to know that he had better block it, because if he's not going to block it, that might be a problem. Well, now if I do that with the other kick as well, and I start doing with high kicks and punches, now I start making him afraid of every single strike that I throw. Now I'm inside his head. Now I just start fainting and I get freaking out already. You see, so it's a very simple, basic system what I always used, but it works, Just go hard.
Worked really well.
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
A lot. I used to, yeah, a lot. Like when I interview fighters and they're like working out before, and before I arrive, they're still working out, sparring. Then I go, oh, I wish I could. I miss the ground fighting a lot. That was something in the early days that I didn't like, but now I understand the possibilities, which are endless in submissions. And I really miss that. But with my neck, I don't want to take the risk. If I have one wrong move, one wrong neck crank, and I turn wrong, whatever it is, it could do some real damage. So unfortunately, and my knees also. Striking, I still do, but also not sparring. I won't be sparring.
So you don't train rolling around on the mats anymore?
Nope. That's that unfortunately has passed.
Just time. Because you don't, like you said, you're afraid to risk any kind of further injury.
Yeah, it's already, I said so many fusions in my neck right now. One more, a friend of mine has one more. Well, he's like this. That's only one more. See, I have still mobility, so I'm still good for now. And it's already 4 fusions. So, and front and back fused.
Wow.
So this is before the replacement. This replacement came. That was very early on there, and some mistakes were made. So they didn't want me to do that. Now I wish I would have done it. But yeah.
What's these mean on your hands?
Okay, so this means ki, or in China, it will be the same kanji. It means chi. It's life force. Life force. And when I put this one on, I never lost a fight anymore. So I thought, hey, it's helping. So this one means a long life. It's called Xiao. This is only a Chinese, like not a lot of people recognize this, but I was doing Tai Chi with like a group of old people, Chinese people in the mountains one time where I used to live in California. And then I was doing the thing and this old woman go, oh, Xiao. I go, whoa, you're the first one. This is the person who recognizes it. She said right away, a long life. Cool. So let's hope I'm going to be 100. That's my goal. A healthy 100 though.
Just 100?
Well, we'll see when we're there, right?
I dig it. That's actually the motto of my business is live a long, full life. That's kind of the whole purpose behind everything we do. I dig that. What's something about you nobody knows? What's something about you people don't ask you or you talk about in these discussions or podcasts? What's a little secret you can share? Don't tell me something weird like you wear ladies' underwear.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that'd be freaking hilarious if that's the truth.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very, I like to do everything in order. Like, for instance, I have a front door here and like 15 feet away is the elevator. When I need to lock the front door, what I do, I walk to the elevator, hit the button, walk back. And while I'm locking the door, that already the elevator can come up. So I know it's 5 seconds that I save, but somehow my mind is wide. I have this with everything. If I go in the car and it's hot, first thing I can't stand it when I walk in the car, people are just talking and I go, hit the freaking start so it can cool down. Why won't you do that the first thing you do, right? But I would, you see, and that things like that.
So you want to be efficient with your time in movements.
Yes, but that sometimes gets me in trouble, of course, because I automatically assume that everybody needs to do it as well. That's a little pride thing on my side. Hey, if it's so good, why don't you do it as well? You see, that's probably what I'm thinking, my inner monologue. But everybody's different. For me, it's important, and it's 5 seconds, so it is stupid. I don't understand that. But like I said, I do a lot. Like I pray a rosary, right? But while I'm doing a rosary, I also stretch. So that means that whatever language you do it in Latin or anything, but if the Latin, it's an 18-minute stretch every day, every single day, because I do it every day. How many times you missed? Never. That's me. I build a habit. I'll never miss the habit, and so I always stretch, but I do 2 things at the same time. If I walk the dog, I have the auto trainer in my mouth sometimes because I'm working out my breathing muscles, or I'm memorizing scripts for my talks. But I'm not just, and now I read from the book from Johan Hari, Total Stolen Focus. I read that sometimes it's better to leave the phone at home and don't occupy your mind as much. You see, so I started doing that as well. But I'd like to do 2 things at the same time. For me, it's always, You know, you can save the, like if I work out, everything is supersets with me. Everything. I won't have rest. You see me doing biceps, and then you see me do shoulders, and biceps, shoulders, biceps, shoulders, biceps, shoulders. Boom, next to exercise. Boom. There's no rest. You won't sit me down and sitting down in the gym for 15 seconds. There is no break. That's why I do 8 exercises in like 32 minutes, and I do a lot of repetitions. I do at least 15 or 20 repetitions for everything. But I go boom, 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 boom. You know, sure, in the beginning it's hard. But your body's amazing, man. It gets adjusted to everything. And now it's normal. I have people with me who try to do it and they can't. I say, well, I've been doing this for years. So you just get used to it. It's very simple. So that's what I like.
Does anybody ever ask you to do Mike Myers' gold member impersonation?
Oh, no, they didn't. But they go Faja. They called it a Faja. Which is Faja. It's not Vader. It's
I was researching some stuff, and I thought of, I'm like, who's Dutch that I even know, like that I can think of, like, you know, in modern culture, and I'm like, Faja, like that came to mind. So that's what you do? Is that your thing? You do little Faja jokes?
So there's a Faja joke. Yeah, I'm joking all the time. This is I come everywhere. I'm the worst, and my wife hates it, but that's what she said, that thing. I say that I can fit it in everywhere, and I do it with the kids there. And then the worst situations for her, because if the pressure is on, and it's like really serious people, and somebody say, "Oh, you can put it in with me," and I go, "That's what she said," you know. And my wife goes, "Stop it," you know, because I'm constantly annoying my wife, and the reason I'm annoying her is because she constantly falls for it. It's like my kids are doing the same to her, and every time she freaks out. But because she freaks out to keep doing it. If they try to scare me, they go, boo, and I'm like this, right? Go, oh, yeah, nice. You know, because I hear them come and I see everything. I know that if I stay calm, I only have to stay calm 3 times. They will never do it again. But my wife, they go, boo, and then they film her. And every time it works. So with me and her, it's yesterday we were in the elevator. It's so funny. And I'm always messing with her, right? I go, you want to go? You want to go? So the elevator doors closes and I go for her throat. And as soon as I do this, a neighbor walks up and the door closes.
Oh, no.
And she goes, and we know the neighbor. And we go, I said, I'm sorry, you locked the door. And it's quiet for a little bit because now they're thinking, is that real? And she's probably, my wife goes, yeah, but she goes like, you want to text her? I go, they know us, man. I mean, they know us. Every person who knows me, they'll know that will never happen. And they're always messing around. So no, I'm not going to text them and say, that's actually suspicious.
Right. I'm not really choking my wife. Don't call the police.
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah, that would
the marks on her neck, she just stripped. She just stripped. That's why she has the marks on her neck. You know?
Yeah.
Jokes like this.
She tripped into my hands.
By accident, she fell, like I caught her. See, but and jokes like this, we can't make any more nowadays. And I'm doing this the whole time with my wife is so used to it. I mean, the stuff that I do to her. Yeah, she's hilarious. We're a good team. She's 32 years now together.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, she's something, man. I'm very blessed with that one.
How do people find you to buy the trainer?
O2trainer.com. Go there, and it's, you know, you support American business. It's made in America. I took everything out of China a year and a half ago, and I said, yeah, okay, sure. It's going to make it a little bit more expensive, but it's one of those things, you buy one and you never need to buy another one. You can throw it against the wall. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to break. It doesn't need batteries, doesn't need anything. It's like a weight. A weight doesn't look like a lot, like a dumbbell, but it freaking transforms you. And this is weight training for your muscle. Every setting comes with it. These are caps. You take this one off, put a different cap on it. Oh, I'll give you one example. Like, for instance, I started with a cap with 4 millimeter, right? And then, and what you do is you do 30 repetitions and you time your 30 repetitions. Like if your 30 repetitions take you over 4.5 minutes, you need more resistance. If your 30 repetitions go below 33 minutes, you need more resistance. So you need to be in between the 3 and 4.5 minute mark for your 30 repetitions. And if you go all the way back to 2000, what is it? 18 is where I started this. I think, no, 15 maybe even. The daily part. You saw me doing the size number 4 in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Now, I've been doing that for like 2 years, and I look at my wife, and now, of course, I'm very strong already. On my size, like 1.5 I'm doing now. If you do want to do correctly, 1 is a very hard size, but 1.5 is good. So I look at my wife and say, hey, just for fun, I'm going to try how fast I can do it now. The number 4. So I used to do it at 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and now I did it in 55 seconds. So it's a 75% increase.
Wow.
It's dramatic, and those are the muscles that you need for breathing. So if they don't gas out, they don't need to steal the blood from all the other limbs. So you start gassing, metaborflex. That's the beautiful word for gassing, and then you just keep on going. It's just it's really amazing.
It's a horrible feeling when that happens too.
Oh, makes fatigue. What does I say? Fatigue makes cowards out of men, right? I've been in that situation. It's not so fun. And then you're praying that he doesn't see it.
I love it. Hey man, I really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us and talk. I know you're a busy dude and got all kinds of stuff to do. So it means a lot that you responded and took the time to do this. What's something you would leave people with? I often ask this simple question. If somebody never sees you again, never meets you, never crosses your way, what would you leave them with?
Leave them with, I hope that they listen to the conversation, try to keep your weaknesses, vices, and imperfections under control. If something is looking at you like you want to have it more, don't do it. Try to say stop. What we're doing in this society, day and age, is we're confusing pleasure with happiness. There's the 2 big things. Happiness is a whole different feeling. Pleasure is something it's a hole you can never fill. As the newest iPhone, the newest phone, the newest this. You always want more. Always want the better version. Stop at it. You don't need to. There's no need for that. If something is good, it's good. You know who's really benefits from that? My wife. If something is good, it's good. I stay with her. I love her to death. You see, but it just, and everything that you want to do bad, think about cheating or something, What I always told myself is what would it do to me if my wife would do that? There you have your answer. It will kill me. It will hurt me really bad. So because that is the case, I don't do it. And this is what I do with everything. I flip the situations. So, whatever tries to take control over you, well, stop that. Because once that happens to control, you lose control. And once you lose control, whatever it is, addiction, you're trapped. So I hope that people do that. And the phones, turn all your notifications off. Like you say the same thing. I have maybe 1 or 2 going off. But not if you get a like, don't let a notification come in. Who cares? There should be a setting.
That's a disease.
You know what they say for the people at home? They have a little bit of an idea. So imagine that Facebook had a button that you can turn on and off for you to say. And you say, oh, it's cool. I like it for my friends to find me. So you hit today, you hit click open, and then you go to a bar somewhere, and your friends say, hey, let's see who our boss is. And they go to the Facebook. Oh, he's right, this at the bar. That would be a great setting. A lot of people would use that particular setting, right? Especially because you can turn it off as well. Well, that setting you will never see on Facebook. And the reason that setting you'll never see on Facebook or any social media platform is because then you meet your friends and you're not on the phone anymore. Think about that. This is what I heard from their book, Stolen Focus, from the people who are working for Google and all these algorithms who do that. And you know that those people who make those algorithms, their kids don't have phones. Their kids are not allowed to have.
It's true. Yeah.
It's true. And they go to private schools, the kids, they have a complete different life. And we're the sheep. We're just bending and bowing to these people. And for every one person, there's 1,000 people building algorithms that trying to keep you on the phone. This is what is it? Infinity scroll. Yeah. That guy, that's the guy, one of the guy who is interviewing in the book. He goes with the whole book through it. So in the past, if you go to Google and you want to go to the next page, you have to go literally click on the next page. And that clicking, that one action can already decide you to maybe not to do it. Whoa, they cannot have that. So they said, why don't we let the page automatically reload so they don't have to do it? They can. So Infinity Scroll was born. And that guy who's part of this book, he hates it that he invented that thing. Well, somebody else was going to invent it as well, because now he knows what it does to the children and to the people. It's the dumbest thing. It takes everything away. Look at your screen time every day. You're going to realize it's over 6 hours. That's a problem.
It's a big problem. I really appreciate you. You're a pretty cerebral dude. A lot of times I think folks see a fighter or an athlete and they just see that. So I appreciate, I'm happy to hear that you are a reader and a learned man. I'm interested to try this mouth apparatus and see if it can make me better. You guys that have watched, if you dug this podcast, let's hear in the comments what you liked about it. Let's hear what you liked from Bas, and be well. Don't be dickheads. Tell somebody you love them. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. Drew behind the editing desk. Be well.
Visit our website, CarryTrainer.com, for information about classes held throughout the U.S., Carry Trainer apparel, and upcoming projects. You can also email us at training@CarryTrainer.com for information about setting up your own private course or speaking engagement. Training@CarryTrainer.com or CarryTrainer.com. Hey man, what are you doing in the podcast room, Steve?
I'm writing a national anthem. It's going to be at folk festivals for Gunfighter Gun Oil.
Oh.
Let me tell you about Gunfighter Gun Oil. Made in the USA. Gunfighter Gun Oil, 100% synthetic. It's gonna last you, baby. Yeah. Gunfighter Gun Oil is the best I've ever seen. It's gonna make you get everything that you've ever seen. Oh, baby, I love me some Gunfighter Gun Oil. Yeah. Oh, Gunfighter Gun Oil. Gunfighter.
Gonna get my lighter out. I don't have it.
It wasn't even Bob Dylan. It was like a love story.